Sri Damodareha Namaste Stu Damne Sporadipti Damne Tvadiyodarayata Vishwasya Damne Namo Radhikaya Tvadiya Priyaye Namo Nanta Leelaya Devaya Tubhyam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Damodarastakam ki jai. Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radhe Radhe Yashoda Damodara Radhe Radhe. Damodarastakam ki jai. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Krishna Prabhuji. So beautiful Kirtan, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. So happy to start the Damodar month with the first Damodarastakam for this year. So happy to do that, Prabhuji. I want to just share so that we can just recite the Damodara Astakam, Prabhuji. So we can all take part in Ramnath Prabhuji, would you want to read the first paragraph and then we will continue the translation, Prabhuji?
It's really too small on my screen. I can't read it.
Okay, Prabhuji, no problem, Prabhuji. Amaga Prabhu or Nagaraj Prabhu, are you able to see Himal Prabhu?
It is small, Prabhuji, but I can zoom in.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. If you can.
Shall I read, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhuji, please.
If Hemal Prabhuji or anyone wanted to go.
Himal Prabhu, would you want to recite the translation? The first paragraph, or anyone of the first?
Shall I go for it?
Yeah, Nagaraj Prabhu, you can go ahead and you can join.
Okay. To the Supreme Lord, whose form is embodiment of eternal existence, knowledge, and bliss, whose shark-shaped earrings are swimming to and fro, who is beautifully shining in the divine realm of the Gokula, who, due to the offense of breaking the pot of yogurt that his mother was churning into butter and then stealing the butter that was kept hanging from a swing, is quickly running from wooden grinding mortar in fear of Mother Yashoda, but who has been caught from behind by her, who ran after him with great speed. To that Supreme Lord, Sri Damodara, I offer my humble obeisances. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, Amaga Prabhu, you can.
Okay. Text number 2. Seeing the whipping stick in his mother's hand, he is crying and rubbing his eyes again and again with his 2 lotus hands. His eyes are filled with fear, and the necklace of pearls around his neck, which is marked with 3 lines like a conch shell. He is shaking because of his quick breathing due to crying. To the Supreme Lord, Sri Damodara, whose belly is bound not with ropes, but with his mother's pure love, I offer my humble obeisances. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Ratan Prabhu. Dandavad Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandavad Prabhuji.
Would you want to recite the 3rd line, Prabhuji? Ratan Prabhuji?
Sorry, I can't do, please, because I cannot read also.
Okay, no problem, Prabhuji. Don't worry. No worries. I will read the remaining ones. By such childhood pastimes as this, he is drowning the inhabitants of Gokula in pools of ecstasy and is revealing to those devotees who are absorbed in knowledge of his supreme majesty and opulence that he is only conquered by devotees whose pure love is imbued with intimacy and is free from all conceptions of awe and reverence. With great love, I again offer my humble obeisances to Lord Damodara hundreds and hundreds of times. O Lord, although you're able to give all kind of benedictions, I do not pray to you for the boon of impersonal liberation, nor the highest liberation of eternal life in Vaikuntha, nor any other boon which may be obtained by executing the 9 processes of bhakti. O Lord, I simply wish that this form of yours as Balagopala in Vrindavan may ever be manifest in my heart. For what is the use to me of any other boon besides this? O Lord, your lotus face, which is encircled by locks of soft black hair, tinged with red, is kissed again and again by Mother Yashoda, and your lips are reddish like the bimba fruit. May this beautiful vision of your lotus face ever be manifest in my heart. Thousands and thousands of other benedictions are of no use to me. Hemal Prabhu, are you around Okay, I will continue. O Supreme Godhead, I offer my obeisances unto you. O Damodara, O Ananta, O my Master, O my Lord, be pleased upon me. By showering your glance of mercy upon me, deliver this poor ignorant fool who's immersed in an ocean of worldly sorrows and become visible to my eyes. O Lord Damodara, just as the 2 sons of Kuvera, Manigriva and Nalakuvera, were delivered from the curse of Narada and made into great devotees by you in your form as a baby, tied with rope to a wooden grinding mortar. In the same way, please give to me your own Prema Bhakti. I only long for this, and I have no desire for any kind of liberation. O Lord Damodara, I first of all offer my obeisance to the brilliantly effulgent robe which binds your belly. I then offer my obeisances to your belly, which is the abode of the entire universe. I humbly bow down to your most beloved Srimati Radharani, and I offer all obeisances to you, the Supreme Lord who displays unlimited pastimes. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. This is a beautiful prayer by Sachurata Muni, singing glories of Damodara. Krishna Bhagavan has so many names: Gopala, Govinda, Madhusudana. Similarly, Krishna also has a name called Damodara. Dama means rope, Udara means waist. And this is about the beautiful Leela where Mother Yashoda is trying to tie Sri Krishna, Damodara with the rope. And it was such a beautiful Leela as we are reading this Krishna book, where no matter how much Mother Yashoda is trying to tie, she used to find that it is always short by 2 fingers. The rope was never enough. Again, she would try to get another rope and try to tie him. Still, again, it was short of 2 fingers. And so nicely, the explanation for these 2 fingers is that the first finger represents the endeavor of the devotees for the mercy of Krishna, how much we should endeavor, how much we should practice our devotional service to gain the mercy and grace of Krishna. And the second finger represents the mercy of Krishna or the love of Krishna. And only these 2 things are so important, our endeavor and also the grace and mercy of Krishna. And it is so apt that we are reading Krishna book, where it is full of divine leelas of Krishna. As we had read probably previously in another chapter, we talked about the demigod Vidyadhara, who was cursed to become a reptile, a snake. And he was trying to even swallow Nanda Maharaj. And we have seen how when Nanda Maharaj was crying out for Krishna to save him, immediately Krishna, just by the touch of his feet, the demigod, the reptile, loses its body and again becomes as a demigod. So we can understand that just by the touch of Krishna, even the Vidyadhara, who was actually cursed by the Muni Angira to become a serpent, is relieved of this curse just by the touch of Krishna. Similarly, here in Damodara Astakam, we can see that just by the touch of Krishna, who was crawling and who just goes to these 2 trees, who have become, and these 2 trees are basically the sons of Kuvera, Manigriva and Nalakuvera. And just by Krishna touching these trees, both of them get delivered, Manigriva and Nalakuvera. Similarly, from our side, we always endeavor for the blessings of Krishna, by the grace of Krishna. And when just by the touch of Krishna in our lives, everything changes and our fortune changes as well. And as we can see in this prayer, the whole Krishna consciousness is not about getting liberation, but the whole objective of Krishna consciousness is to develop the love of Krishna. The whole chanting also is all about crying out to Krishna to engage us in the mood of devotion. As you can see from this prayer, where Satyavati Muni is saying that we do not pray for liberation. We are not praying for any of things. We are not talking about liberation. We are only talking about that Bala Gopala or Damodara be ever be manifest in our heart. And that is the most important thing, because in Krishna Bhagavan says in Bhagavad Gita, Yoginam api sarvesam madgate antaratmana shraddhavan bhajate mam same yukta tamamataha. Where Krishna Bhagavan is giving us the idea that the highest, the topmost bhakti yoga, the topmost yoga, and the topmost yoga is to always think of Krishna within our heart and rendering transcendental loving service to Krishna. And this is the prayer of Damodara, that we do not have any liberation. We are not praying for any Vaikuntha liberation, to be for the highest liberation of eternal life in Vaikuntha or in anything. But we are just praying that this beautiful form of Bala Gopala ever be manifest in our heart, so that we always have this Damodara in our heart, and then constantly chanting this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, thinking about Krishna within our heart and rendering transcendental service. As we mentioned, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, that is the topmost yoga. That's the first class yoga, which is called as Bhakti Yoga. So we can take inspiration from this Damodara Ashtakam, that we should always be in this mood. And it is so important and so well connected to the chapter that we're doing, but because we can see as we continue with the chapter number 36, where the gopis are feeling that mood of separation. So as we can see, this whole thing, this whole prayer of Damodara Ashtakam is in the mood of a prayer to Krishna, that we do not want liberation, we do not want anything, but we just want this beautiful form of Damodara always be manifesting in our heart. So as we get into this chapter number 35, where we talked about the gopis' feeling of separation, and this is one of the most beautiful things, the whole Krishna consciousness and all about the divine leelas of Krishna is the main highlight of this, is the gopis' feeling of separation, and to be in that particular mood of separation. As we always mention, why Krishna Katha is so important in this month of Damodara, where Krishna Bhagavan saying, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tatvataha chakradeham punarjanmanaiti mameti. So Arjuna, the devotees who hear about my divine birth and divine pastimes, once they leave this material world, will not come back here, but will directly go to Krishna Loka. So Krishna Katha is so auspicious that listening to the Krishna Katha in the association of the devotees is the most wonderful, auspicious thing to be done in this month of Kartik, which is the name of Radharani, and also the month of Damodara, which is the name of Krishna Bhagavan. So we are so fortunate in the association of Ramnath Prabhuji. We're getting a chance to discuss about these beautiful Leelas of Krishna. As you can see, the Rasa Leela we covered in the earlier chapters, and we are continuing with this chapter. We covered in the last week, we just spoke about how the gopis were so much attached to Krishna, that not only about the Rasa Leela which happened during this beautiful moonlight, but they were also praying and wishing that they always want to be with Krishna, in the association of Krishna, even during the daylight. So even though they were not accompanying Krishna, well, when he was going for herding the cows, still they were always thinking about Krishna in separation. And this, as we know, all following this particular great sampradaya, Brahma Madhava sampradaya, where we are always in the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, following in the steps of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who's given us this Krishna Prema. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who came in the mood of Radharani and feeling the mood of separation from Krishna. And as we can see, the Damodara Ashtakam is also about that we can always feel this loving relationship with Krishna in the mood of separation. This whole movement of Hare Krishna movement is how we can always feel, how we can always express our love for Krishna in the mood of separation. In fact, when we are chanting the holy names of Krishna, it's always about praying Krishna. It's always about crying, just like how a child is crying for the mother in separation and always wanting the love of a mother. Similarly, we are always, that's a mood that we should have in the mood when we are chanting, that how a child is always crying for the mother. Similarly, this whole Rasa Leela, this whole Krishna consciousness is all about having that mood of separation. We all have this experience that when we are meeting our loved ones after a long time, or if we are looking forward to meet our loved ones after a long time, we are always craving, when is the flight going to come? When am I going to see the person coming out of this lounge area just to see our loved ones, just the feeling of seeing. And after that, even when you meet them, maybe it could maybe another day, after 1 or 2 days, it may be normal. That's normal in the material days, material life. But you can, but till the time when we see our loved ones, there's always that eagerness. When can we see? When can we see? And material life is a perverted reflection of the spiritual life. So we can imagine that whatever we are experiencing is just a reflection of what actually happens in the spiritual world. And as you can see, that gopis are expansions of Radharani, and always feeling in the mood of separation. And as how Radharani is always waiting to see Krishna, and in the same footsteps, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has in the same feelings of separation. So when we follow the Krishna Katha, we should understand that this is the kind of a bhava that you should have. This is the kind of a mood that we should have, the feeling of separation. And when we are doing, and when we understand this Krishna Katha and how the gopis are also waiting for Krishna when he's going to come back after herding the cow. Similarly, we are also, when we are chanting, we should always be in that particular mood. When are we going to have this Krishna Prema? How much service that we can do for Krishna? And we covered about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, like when he was in Jagannath Puri also, how he was always in the role and was feeling the mood of separation. And similarly, you can find that the gopis are also always thinking about Krishna. They're always thinking about Krishna. And as we can see in this particular Bhagavad Gita, Krishna mentions about the qualities of his devotee. Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantasya dididabrita namasyantasya mam bhaktya nitya yukta upashate. Just always chanting my glories. Krishna is talking about his devotees, that his devotees are always chanting his glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before Krishna. These great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. So this is Krishna is giving us an idea, like what kind of how his devotees are. They're always conversing with each other, devotees, telling about these beautiful leelas of Krishna. And so similarly, we can see that the gopis are the highest level of devotion. They always engage in highest level of devotion. And we can learn from the gopis to see that they were always talking about Krishna among themselves. So we can see that one gopi was telling, like, do you know, she was telling, one gopi is telling other gopi, do you know how Krishna nicely is kind of like lying on the ground, keeping his left hand and putting his head on his left hand. And so beautiful. They're just remembering all these beautiful divine pastimes. And from these, we can also get an idea, we can also get an imagination, because we, in material life, we imagine so many things, right? We imagine so many things, and whatever that's going to happen. I wish I was this, I wish I was that. We wish about the beautiful times. We are so many times, we are daydreaming of so many things. But here you can find from these leelas, we can get an idea, we can get that particular knowledge from the gopis, how beautiful it must have been when Krishna was just lying on this, and he was just keeping his left hand, his head on his left hand, how nicely he's been playing his flute, and how this particular flute was so melodious that even the demigods who were traveling in the plains, in the sky, they were so enchanted that they would stop, and the voice of the demigods would be just so absorbed listening to this beautiful sound, transcendental sound coming from Krishna's flute. So this is so important. And even you can find that even the demigod's wife, even the gopis, they were so mesmerized by this beautiful sound coming from Krishna's flute that they were like totally enchanted. They were totally lost. And the beauty about this is that not only it was just the people of Vrindavan, it was not just the people of the demigods' wives, but even the animals. Everybody was so enchanted listening to Krishna's beautiful flute. And so one gopi was talking about how Krishna was lying and keeping his hands and how he's playing his flute. And there's another gopi who was telling the other gopis like how Krishna is so beautiful that even the goddess of fortune is sitting on his chest. And as we also know, in Krishna's expansion as Narayana, even Lakshmi Devi is sitting on Narayana's chest. So we can see like how Krishna has been playing his flute so beautifully that he's enchanting even the cows and animals. And even the animals were so dumbstruck that they were just taking a morsel of food in the mouth, and they were just so enchanted. They were just stopped chewing also because they were just listening to Krishna's beautiful, and they just happened because they were like so stunned, the Krishna's beautiful flute, that they were looking like painted animals. And not only the animals, but you can see that even the lakes, even the Yamuna was also so enchanted by the beautiful sound that was coming from Krishna's flute. And And also here it gives an idea from the gopis, we can understand how Krishna was looking so beautiful. He was having a peacock flower, a feather in his head, and also he was smeared with sandalwood on his body. So he was smelling so beautifully as well. That because his body was smeared with all the minerals of Vrindavan as well. And even the Yamuna stopped flowing because of Krishna, but Krishna was passing by Yamuna river as well. So we can see that that Krishna was not only enchanting the people in Vrindavan, but also the gopis, as well as also with the animals as well. And you can see, like in the earlier chapters we covered, that the gopis were so much enamored by, or so mesmerized, they were missing Krishna so much that they were crying, and again they would stop, and again they would cry, and again when they knew that Krishna was still not yet back, they would still again be frustrated and began to cry again. So as we all know that Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, the origin of all the Vishnu forms. We all know that all the different avatars, like, Rama avatar, Vaman avatar, Narasimha avatar, they all come from Vishnu. But again, we know that the source of all the avatars is again Krishna. And that's the reason why Krishna says, Paritranaya sadhunam vinasaya cha duskritam dharma samsthapanardaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Yuga after yuga, Krishna Bhagavan tells in Bhagavad Gita, he himself comes in different avatars. But he's the source of all the avatars. He comes in different avatars. And so as Vishnu is always worshipped by Shiva and Brahma, even Krishna also, when he was there on this planet, he was always accompanied by cowherd boys, who are again demigods. And while he was playing the flutes, the trees and plants and every vegetation, even they will become so conscious of Krishna. So we can imagine how beautiful it must have been. And we can hear from Chaitanya Charitamrita also, that when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was coming to Vrindavan through the forest, even the animals would be dancing with him when he was doing the kirtan. So we can see that every living entity was responding to by the touch of Krishna, or by the sound of Krishna's flute. Because Krishna doesn't say that, he doesn't talk about living being. He's talking about every living entity is part and parcel of Krishna. Mamaivamsa jiva bhuta sanatana. Mana shastran indriyani prakriti sani karsiti. Where Krishna Bhagavan is telling all these conditioned souls are my eternal fragmental parts. Krishna never says all these living human beings. He says all conditioned living beings in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. So he's referring, Krishna Bhagavan is not only referring to the human beings, he's also referring to the cows, and he's talking about even the animals and rivers. Every living entity is always, we are all part and parcel of Krishna. It's such a beautiful thing to understand that, when we become conscious that through these leelas, that Krishna, everybody, we are all part and parcel of Krishna. Mamaivamsa jiva bhuta jivasana. So when we know that, then we will be so kind to our animals. We will be so kind to the nature around us, because we know that everything is part and parcel of Krishna Bhagavan. Everything is an energy of Krishna. So that's the kind of a knowledge, because here in Krishna consciousness, we are not blindly worshipping Krishna. We are trying to get all the knowledge from Bhagavad Gita, and at the same time from Krishna Leelas, we are trying to get all the divine pastimes of Krishna. So knowledge from Bhagavad Gita, beautiful Leelas from Krishna Katha. So a combination of this, when we get this knowledge and we also get this knowledge from the Krishna Katha, this will help us in our chanting. And when we keep chanting the holy names of Krishna, we will understand our constitutional position, that we are all part and parcel of Krishna. And then when we again go back to reading Krishna and Krishna Katha, we will have more realizations. So this is a journey. Krishna consciousness is a journey of the soul, to revive our relationship with Krishna, to understand like who we are. Who am I? I'm a part and parcel of Krishna. And not only I, but every living entity is part and parcel of Krishna. So as we can see from these beautiful leelas, the gopis are giving us this knowledge of how beautiful Krishna was. That Krishna was so beautiful, looking so beautiful, and he was decorated with a tilak on his face, and he was having garland. He was having a garland of all forest flowers. And in Vishnu Sahasranam, it is mentioned about, like, when glorifying Krishna and how his beautiful body was smeared. And as we know, we have a material body, though we have a Jivatma inside. But when it comes to Krishna, there is no material body. Everything is transcendental. Krishna's body is transcendental. Everything is transcendental about Krishna. In fact, Krishna Katha, Bhagavad Gita is literal incarnation of Krishna. The deities are Archa Vigraha, incarnation of Krishna. So everything is about Krishna is transcendental. And even the bees, being pleased by the humming sound of the bees, Krishna would play his flute. And together the sound became so sweet that even the aquatic birds like cranes, swans, and ducks were charmed. So we can see that how Krishna was charming even the birds and swans. And instead of swimming or flying, they became stunned. They closed their eyes and entered the trance of meditation and worship of Krishna. So we can see like it is by Krishna's presence that even every other living entity can be delivered. It is said that even when we are chanting in the presence of, like, when we are walking in the park and chanting the holy names of Krishna, we are actually delivering even the animals also, because they are getting a chance to hear about Krishna's Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So in that way, when we chant the holy names of Krishna, it is not only that we are delivering, we are kind of like engaging ourselves in bhakti life, but we are also helping in delivering other living entities who are getting a chance to worship Krishna. Sometimes I just walk in the park next door, and when the swans are there, I just loudly chanting, with this realization that maybe they get to hear about this Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So in that way, and in this month of Damodara, it is said that when we are chanting the holy names of Krishna and when we are doing the Krishna Katha, we have so many of even our ancestors get liberated just by doing this Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So we should have these beautiful realizations, because many times when we have these realizations, our chanting, the mode of chanting is in a different level. When we understand this knowledge from the gopis, when we understand how the gopis are so beautifully describing Krishna, and we can see this, how much they are loving Krishna, it will help us in developing our loving relationship also with Krishna. Otherwise, it can be a mundane way of chanting with no rasa, with no mood, with no love for Krishna. But when we kind of like imbibe our mind, our heart with all these beautiful realizations, with all these beautiful Krishna Katha, so when we are chanting also, we can remember these beautiful divine pastimes, which will make our chanting even more sweeter. And that's the chord Krishna wants. Krishna wants our love. Because even when he says in Bhagavad Gita, even when he says you can offer a flower or fruit, he says, but that should be offered with love and devotion. So whether we are chanting or whether we are offering a fruit or a flower, Krishna is wanting is love and devotion. Patram pushpam palam toyam yome bhakta prayachati tadaham bhakti upahritam asnami prayatatmana. If you offer a flower, a fruit, a leaf, or water, but it should be offered with love and devotion. And that's the reason we can see from Mahabharata, when Duryodhana invited Krishna, giving him much Maharajaboga, he just outright refused it because it was not offered with love. He didn't invite him with love. So we can see from here this divine pastime, like how every living entity was getting enchanted. Now another gopi is talking about telling other friends, my dear friends, Krishna and Balaram are so nicely dressed with earrings and pearl necklaces. They enjoy themselves on the top of Govardhan Hill. And everything becomes absorbed in transcendental pleasure when Krishna plays on his flute, charming the whole created manifestation. When he plays, the clouds stop their loud thundering out of fear of disturbing the vibration of the flute. Instead, they respond with a mild thunder and so congratulate Krishna, their friend. So we can get from this particular paragraph, the beauty of Krishna Katha is even a small paragraph, there's so much of nectar that we can gather. So from this, we can understand how beautiful Krishna must be looking with his pearl necklaces and everything. And we can see that we can imagine, if you go to Govardhan Hill, I had the fortune of just going to the Govardhan Hill, and you can imagine that Krishna and Balaram with the cows on the Govardhan Hill, and how they must have been, absorbed in this transcendent pleasure, like for all the cowherd people who were there around then, how Krishna was playing the flute out there. And we can see that when Krishna was playing the flute, even the clouds also were so conscious that they were like, instead of how the clouds make this thundering sounds, even that was kind of like subdued. So we can see like how everything in the creation is responding to Krishna's flute. As we all know, this whole creation started with the sound, right? From the sound, everything started. So we can see that and everything is coming from Krishna. Krishna is Om. Krishna mentions of all the sounds Krishna says, he is the Om mantra as well. So we can see like how all the living entities are responding. Krishna is accepted as a friend of the cloud, because both the cloud and the Krishna satisfy the people when they are disturbed. When the people are burning due to excessive heat, the cloud satisfies them with rain. Similarly, When people in the material life become disturbed by the blazing fire of material pangs, Krishna consciousness gives them relief like a cloud. So we can see this beautiful analogy that how Krishna is being compared with the cloud. And the cloud of the Krishna having the same bodily color are also considered to be like friends. Desiring to congratulate his superior friend, the cloud poured hot, not water, but small flowers and covered the head of Krishna just like an umbrella to protect him from the scorching sunshine. So we can see how even the nature, we talked about how the gopis, and we talked about animals, and talked about how the Yamuna lake is responding by stopping even the flowing of water. And now we can see that even the clouds are responding to Krishna consciousness, just to the Krishna's flute, and how they, instead of pouring water, they're pouring flowers. So this is what we need to understand. Maya jakshena prakriti suete sacharacharam hetunanena kaunteya jagad viparivartate. This material energy is working under my direction, O son of Kunti. So everything is working according to Krishna's direction. Even the splendor of the sun and the moon as well is coming from Krishna. And one of the gopis is telling Mother Yashoda, my dear mother, your son is very expert among the cowherd boys. He knows all different arts, how to tend the cows, how to play the flute. He composes his own songs, and to play them, he puts his flute to his mouth. When he plays either in the morning or in the evening, all the demigods, including Lord Shiva, Brahma, Indra, and Chandra, bow their heads and listen with great attention. Although they're very learned and expert, they cannot understand the musical arrangement of Krishna's flute. They simply listen attentively and try to understand, but they become bewildered and nothing more. So we can understand like how Krishna is such an expert, is a man of all, he's a supreme Lord or Bhagavan of all the talents. We don't use the word Lord. I would say Bhagavan. It gives a nice, beautiful feeling in Sanskrit. Bhagavan means someone, the supreme Bhagavan, who has all the six opulences, unlimited renunciation, unlimited beauty, unlimited talents, everything. So we can see here, Krishna has so many talents, because in fact, all of us, we are being given as talents, but all those talents, everything is coming from Krishna. In fact, Krishna says, like, if you find anyone who's like, any greatness of any particular person, even that particular thing is a gift of Krishna. So we can understand that every talent that we're having in our lives is nothing but a divine mercy of Krishna. And even Arjuna could understand that, after the whole Mahabharata, he was the greatest archer, greatest warrior in the world. And such kind of great archer and a warrior, he lost, even our roadside thugs who could manage to defeat him after Krishna left his body. You can find that one of the thing that happened when Arjuna was on the way trying to protect even the queens out there, and he just lost even a fight with the normal thugs. So then he could understand that all this greatness that Arjuna had was because of Krishna. So we can see that everything that's coming from Krishna. So when the source is Krishna himself, we can see like how Krishna is so talented that he was able to play the flutes, he was able to take care of the cows, he was able to do great unimaginable things, fighting all the demons, and at the same time give so much of pleasure to the cows, because one of the name of Krishna is Govinda, who's giving pleasure to the senses and who's always the protector of the cows. So we can see that Krishna has so many multi-talents, and we're getting a small talent, a glimpse of that talent in our lives, and we feel so much of pride that have this and have that, but we don't understand that everything is a mercy of Krishna. And this is the most important to understand. Bhoktaram yajan sapasam sarvaloka maheshiram. So that we have to understand that the supreme enjoyer is Krishna. And he's the one who's the master of all the universes. So we're getting all these small talents from Krishna. And whether he's playing in the morning or in the evening, even the demigods like Lord Shiva and Indra and Chandra, everybody is bowing. They are enchanted. So we can imagine how powerful Krishna's flute is, that even the demigods who are passing by, they are stopping. And even the Lord Shiva, Brahma, even they're also so enchanted that they were just listening with attention. And when we are learning a harmonium in manner, my Guruji, I feel so grateful to my Prem Sankeetan Prabhu, who's my harmonium teacher, who taught us so many Hare Krishna tunes. And he would tell how beautiful, he would show his fingers, and see how beautiful Krishna has created these fingers also, that our fingers can go all over the harmonium. How nicely Krishna has designed our fingers also. And so we can imagine we play small tunes and we get so enchanted when somebody is doing kirtan. So we can imagine like how Krishna must be playing when he is playing the flute. How beautifully he must be playing, like, how we are enchanted. Even if normal human beings and devotees can enchant us with so much of beautiful kirtan. You can imagine how when Krishna is playing the flute, how beautiful it must be. So we can bring to our imagination how beautiful it must have been. And another gopi is saying, my dear friends, when Krishna returns home with his cows, the footprints of the sole of his feet, with flag, thunderbolt, trident, and lotus flower, relieve the pain the earth feels when the cows traverse it. He walks in a stride which is so attractive, and he carries his flute. Just by looking at him, we become lusty to enjoy his company. At that time, our movement cease. We become just like trees and stand perfectly still, unaware that our hair and the clothes are loosening. So you can see the gopis, each of the gopis, right? And the beauty is every gopi is trying to give her realization. He's coming, kind of giving her version, her love for Krishna, and kind of like, so we can get to know so much from all these different gopis, like, about their realizations. And they're just talking about, and as we all know, many would have seen, the pictures of Krishna's feet. Unlike our feet, Krishna's feet, you can see that there are so many different marks of flag, thunderbolt, trident, and lotus flower on Krishna's footprints. And we can see that when Krishna was walking on Vrindavan, the prints that were showing up out there. And as we all know that this whole Krishna Bhagwan comes on this planet Earth because we can see from the earlier chapters, like Mother Earth, Bhumi Devi, she goes to Brahma crying out that there is so much of demoniac ruling that she is not able to bear the burden. And that's where Brahma goes to Vishnu, and then you can see that how Krishna himself personally comes. So we can see that there's a reason, and here we can see that Krishna is relieving the pain that the Mother Earth is feeling because of the presence of all these demonic kings. But then Krishna is giving us relief even to the Bhumi Devi as well, as he's walking and playing his flute. And as you can see that even the trees and even the gopis are also, they're saying that their hair and clothes are totally loosening, and just with how much they've been mesmerized just by seeing Krishna playing the flute. And Krishna had many thousands of cows. And I think it is, I think somewhere we said like somewhere in 800,000 cows. So we can imagine, we do know that there are so many goshalas. Manna has about 60 plus cows and oxes, but I'm not sure if there are the goshalas in India, like how many they must be having, a few hundreds maybe, but here we're talking about 800,000 cows when Krishna was there. And the richness in those days was measured in terms of how many cows they had. So Krishna has many thousands of cows, and they were divided into groups. So it's very interesting according to the color. Even though they say, like, in the ancient times, the number of different breeds of cows, they were like amazing. They had such a high cows, like even the A2 milk that we talk about is coming from those beautiful cows actually. And in fact, a lot of cows, the different breeds of cows that have come down actually in the recent time. But otherwise, originally you can say, like, Saurabi cows, like, that we talk about, like there were so many cows which were like so beautiful actually, and the kind of milk that they would produce. And so we can see here that even the cows were named according to the color. So they had different colors for the cows. And when he would prepare to return from the pasturing ground, he would gather all the cows. So we can see that how Krishna must be going as a cowherd boy and just taking them into the forest. And after that, in the evening, again, he would get them back. And as Vaishnavas count 108 beads, which represent 108 individual gopis. So a lot of people have this, right? Why do we have this 108 on the beads? So we can see for the Vaishnavas, it's all about 108 individual gopis. As we can see, like of all the gopis, like the shortlisted one is like 108 gopis. So Krishna would also count on 108 beads to count the different groups of cows. So beautiful, isn't it? From this Leela, we can see that even Krishna was counting on his beads to count different groups of cows. When Krishna returned, he is garlanded with tulsi leaves. A gopi described him to a friend. He put his hand on the shoulder of a cowherd boyfriend, and he begins to blow his transcendental flute. The voice of the black deer became enchanted upon hearing the vibration of his flute, which resembled the vibration of the veena. The deer came to Krishna and became so charmed that they stand still, forgetting their homes and the husbands. Like us who are enchanted by the ocean of the transcendental qualities of Krishna, the she deer became enchanted by the vibration of the flute. So we can see that the Leelas is unfolding where the gopis are just talking about how Krishna was returning with the tulsi leaves. We can see how the deer also, the black deer, maybe one of the things which was there in that time or that point of time. I haven't seen anything like a black deer, but we can see that even the sheer deer also, they are also so charmed by the presence of Krishna that they're just forgetting the homes and the husband. So we can see that because Krishna is he's the father of all the living entities. He says, Pita hamasya jagato mata data pita maha vedyam pavitram omkara riksama yajuri vacha. So he says that he is the father and mother of all the living entities, just not the human beings. So we can see that's the reason why even the animals are so enchanted, because he's the eternal father for all of us. And what a beautiful feeling when we get that we are all part and parcel of Krishna. How beautiful we get when our father is the eternal father, is the Lord of the universe, that we all belong to Krishna. That's why we say Vasudeva Kutumbam, that we are all part and parcel of this Krishna. Another gopi told Mother Yashoda, my dear mother, when your son returns home, he decorates himself with the buds of kunda flower, and just to enlighten and gladden his friends, he blows his flute. The breeze blowing from the south creates a pleasing atmosphere because it is fragrant and it's very cool. Minor demigods like the Gandharvas and Siddhas take advantage of this atmosphere and offer prayers to your son by sounding the bugles and drums. Krishna is very kind to the inhabitants of Rajabhumi, Vrindavan, and when he returns to his cows and friends, he is remembered as the lifter of Govardhan Hill. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the most exalted demigods like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva come down to offer their evening prayers, and they accompany the cowherd boys in glorifying the qualities of Krishna. So we can see again the Leelas are continuing, and again another gopi is talking now. So all different gopis are glorifying Krishna, and this gopi is again they're talking to Mother Yashoda, and it's so nice. It's not in Brajabhumi. It's not about Mother Yashoda. It's not only Mother Yashoda, but it's also about other gopis. They're also trying to show how much of their love. And as we know in Damodar Astakam, we covered how beautiful Mother Yashoda is running behind Krishna out of love, because Krishna is such a prankster that he is breaking these pots of yogurt, which his mother was trying to churn into butter, and how Mother is trying to, take a stick and run behind Krishna. And those beautiful pictures that the devotees have kind of like painted, we can see from that, and how Mother was trying to run after Krishna, and Krishna was trying to run, and she's trying to overtake Krishna, and then but when he sees that the mother is doing it with so much of love, he finally accepts to being tied by Mother Yashoda. So this is the beauty of Mother Yashoda's the Leela with Krishna. But so here we can see that the gopis are now telling to Mother Yashoda that how Krishna, when he's returning, that he has his buds of kunda flower, and how he's blowing his flute to gladden his cowherd boys, and also Krishna is so kind to the Brajabhumis that he's always, whenever he returns to his friends, and how we know from the earlier Leelas, how he's protecting always the cowherd people of Brajabhumi. And now not only gopis, that even the Lord Brahma and Shiva also, they're accompanying, glorifying the qualities of Krishna, the 64 beautiful qualities of Krishna. Krishna is compared to the moon, born in the ocean of the womb of Devaki. When he returns in the evening, it appears that he is fatigued, but he still tries to gladden the inhabitants of Vrindavan by his auspicious presence. When Krishna returns garlanded with flowers, his face looks beautiful, adorned with golden earrings. He walks into Vrindavan with a stride, just like the elephants, and slowly enters his home. Upon his return, the men, women, and cows of Vrindavan immediately forget the scorching heat of the day. So this is the thing, right? Krishna has such a cooling effect with this when he's playing his transcendental flute. Just by the presence of Krishna himself, it is so beautiful that they were feeling this wonderful thing. Just imagine on a summer day when we put air condition, like we all feel, wow, it is so nice and cool. So similarly, you can see that in Vrindavan, even in the scorching day when Krishna is returning in the evening, he was bringing so much of coolness into the lives of Vrindavan, that just like how an elephant, and just like an elephant, and how it enters into So we can see from these leelas, like, how Krishna has been such a darling of the Vrindavan that everybody were looking forward, the gopis, Mother Yashoda, the trees, and all the cowherd people. Such descriptions of Krishna's transcendental pastimes and activities were remembered by the gopis during his absence from Vrindavan. They give us some idea of how attractive Krishna is, not only to the human beings, but to all the animates and inanimate objects in Vrindavan. Everyone and everything is attracted to Krishna, including the trees, plants, water, and animals like the deer and the cows. That is the perfect description of Krishna's all attractiveness. That's the Sanskrit word of Krishna, means all attractive. And that's what Krishna is trying to show you. He's showing here in Vrindavan how attractive he is to all the living entities. The example of the gopis is really instructive to the persons who are trying to be absorbed in Krishna consciousness. One can very easily associate with Krishna by remembering his transcendental pastimes. Everyone has a tendency to love someone. That Krishna should be the object of love is the central point of Krishna consciousness. By constantly chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and remembering the transcendental pastimes of Krishna, one can be fully in Krishna consciousness, and thus make his life sublime and fruitful. So we can see from here, from these gopis' divine pastimes, that when we are chanting, we should bring to our mind this beautiful pastime. In that way, we can so lovingly chant and not do a mechanical round of chanting, but remembering how beautiful Krishna must be wearing those beautiful necklaces, how Krishna must be smelling, having the sandalwood paste on his body, how beautiful it must have been on a moonlight when Krishna is doing this Rasa Leela with the gopis, how beautiful it must have been there, where all these different living entities, when we see the swans in the park, we can always remember these beautiful Leelas of Krishna. When we are looking at the clouds, we can remember that even the clouds are a friend of Krishna. So in that way, as Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita, wherever we are there, we can rasoham apsu kaunteya prabhasmi sarisurya, even the taste of water. In this way, Krishna can always be remembered. And in that way, we should, in that particular mood, following in the footsteps of what the gopis are giving us, this beautiful divine leelas, we should always think about these divine leelas and engage ourselves, our minds, in always thinking about Krishna. And during this month of Damodar, there can't be anything more beautiful that way. We are listening to how the gopis are going and telling Mother Yashoda, because this whole month is all about Damodara, this beautiful divine leela of Mother Yashoda playing with Krishna. So I would like to stop here. And I would like to just quickly take a realizations. I was just telling in the beginning of the chapter that I just need to go a bit earlier to 9 o'clock around, so because I had to go to the station. But I just wanted to stop over here and just take any realizations from all our wonderful devotees. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Ramnath Prabhuji.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Shyam Prabhu. There's not much time left, and I know you need to leave. There's various points I could comment on, but time doesn't permit it. I just want to say, I guess, one thing. This listening to Krishna's flute by the residents of Vrindavan, and even Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, they become bewildered. It's a very mysterious idea that Krishna has a tune that is uniquely his. We don't know exactly what it is. You kind of wonder, well, what is that tune? What is it that's so mysterious? How is it Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma are also bewildered by just attentively listening to Krishna's flute? Anyway, I could say a lot more. There's not much time, but the point being that when we're in front of the deities, Radha Gokulananda or Radhavananeshwar, Krishna's playing his flute. That's meant for us. That's meant for us. Radharani's already there.
Yes.
But he's playing his flute to attract us back to the spiritual world. And then it's a question, are we attentive? Are we actually trying to understand Krishna's in front of us, attracting us through his flute playing? Or can we hear his flute? Can we imagine that we're hearing his flute? And ultimately our response, because it's a love call, Krishna is calling us back home.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes.
Our reply to Krishna's love call by his playing his flute is to chant his glories, as we're doing tonight, as we're chanting japa, as we're chanting the kirtan. So that's the exchange. Krishna's playing his flute, and we reply in our love call to come closer to Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna. That's
Wonderful.
all I wanted to say. It's not,
I-
I mean, it's not much time. I could elaborate, but you have to go.
It's fine, Prabhuji. If you want to just share, it's fine. I mean, I'm happy to
Yep,
listen.
yep.
I mean, this wonderful realization. It's beautiful, Prabhuji. Krishna is playing the flute many times. We just overlook, but we had this reason why we had to remember this Leela. Like Krishna is playing the flute
Playing this flute for us.
for us. Yes,
For
that's-
us. And then it's a matter of, well, is that something imaginary or what's going on?
Yes.
But yeah, that's we have to be in tune with Krishna's flute.
Yes.
And then see, ultimately, I mean, I can tell a little bit, but time is
No
short.
problem, Prabhuji.
The point is Krishna's flute, as it enters into the material realm, emanates as Gayatri mantra through the mouth of Lord Brahma. But then Gayatri mantra further expands into the 4 Chaturshloki of the Bhagavatam, which further expands into the entire Bhagavatam. So Krishna's flute playing is manifesting in his pastimes within the entire Bhagavatam.
Beautiful, Prabhuji. Very, very nice. Yeah, that's a wonderful how you put the dots together, like how Krishna's flute and coming as Gayatri mantra. Wonderful, Prabhuji. Very, very nice. Thanks so much. And I think that's a wonderful today. The nice realization that we should have is that flute that Krishna is playing for us, inviting us back to come back to this spiritual world, back to Godhead. And such a beautiful thing. And we should take that's the kind of a bhava that we should have when we look at Krishna playing the flute on the altar. Yes, Prabhuji. That's wonderful, Prabhuji.
Anyway, that's what I wanted to say, basically.
One point that I got really impressed, Prabhuji, is that Varam Deva Moksham Va Moksham Vadibha. I don't need, I don't aspire for moksha.
Yeah.
Just I want to keep, chanting his sweet name. That's really very
Yes.
nice, because it remembers me of one of the pastimes of Sri Ramadas, who was the ardent devotee of Lord Sri Rama. So towards the end of his life, Rama comes and he asks Rama asks that, will you be ready to come to moksha? Then Ramadas will ask, what will be there in moksha? He says that everything will be there. Kalpa vrikshas are there, everything. He said, there'll be any Rama namas there. He said, it's not required. Then he said, I don't want to come to that moksha.
Well,
I don't
let
want
me
that
answer
sort of
that
moksha.
quickly. I want to answer that quickly. In Krishna
Yes, Prabhu.
consciousness, we learned that the Vedas give us 4 purusharthas, goals of life: dharma, artha, kama, moksha, with moksha being the culmination. And in Krishna consciousness, we say, well, actually, that's not our goal. Our goal is the 5th purushartha. What is the 5th purushartha? Pure love for Krishna. And that's, of course, what the whole Damodar Leela is about. We're not trying for moksha. We want to advance in our love for Krishna.
Absolutely.
Very nice, Prabhu. Right.
Very nice, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Moksha actually gets in the way.
Yes. In fact, I think, that's what Krishna is telling, like, gopis, you're giving so much of love for me that I don't know what else I can give in return, because because they were doing everything without expecting anything at all. So I think that's what really kind of pleases Krishna, unalloyed devotion. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Ratan Prabhu, Smriti Kanda Mataji, Hare Krishna. Any other realizations, Sanchit Machide, and I want to share?
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. You have presented in an excellent way. It's nice to hear from you. Very sweet, very lovely. It's actually you have presented, that is Krishna, to know about Krishna, to hear about Krishna is pleasing, is really pleasing, and it's in fact to know Krishna, bhakta mam avijanintu. Without devotion, without love, nobody cannot know about Krishna.
Yes.
So one of the interesting point I like, actually, Krishna has 900,000 cows, and it is actually considered as 108 types of cows, and the cows was 4 colors. 4 colors means black, white, red, yellow.
Wow.
So these 4 colors, even head shapes also different. There is another category. The color also different category. There are 27 types of cows.
Wow.
And Krishna whenever mentioned Dhavoli means white cow, come here. And only Dhavoli means white cows come together in
Yes.
front of him. He is a Govinda.
Yes.
Yeah, Dhavoli, Shamuli means whatever other color, they are coming. No other color. Only they listen, they understand. Because there is a spiritual, they understand. So this is color also very important for Krishna. There were 108 types of cows. It's important. We have to, I think, if you can explain also, if you can know this thing, because it is in Bhagavatam also mentions little, it was little highlighted in Bhagavatam 10 Canto, 35 chapter. So if you can highlight it or other someone know that, it will be nice to hear, because Krishna is Govinda. If you highlight, you can explain this
Yes.
part also very interesting, very nice.
Yes.
Whenever we are mentioning as 108 types, we have to, it is very interesting to know. It is very interactive with Krishna. There is Govinda.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. I didn't know about this. Thank you so much for the nectar and just giving us this knowledge. That's the beauty about association of devotees. You always get to know more. Thank you, Prabhuji. And I was not aware of the 100, some of these details, but all the 4 types of. Thank you, Ratan Prabhu. Amaga Prabhu, sorry. Just want to give, make sure. Yeah, no, it's just running out of time. But Amaga Prabhu and Sanchit Mach, is there anything you want to add? Just to give everyone a chance to share realizations.
Oh, yeah, I'm all right. Thank you. You have explained it so beautifully, and Ramnath Prabhu has added a very nice point. He mentioned that earlier also, and it's very deep and insightful. So, yeah, I'm okay. Because you are in a rush, so I'm okay. We'll share some other time. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Sanchit. Yeah, thank you. So I'm really happy that Damodar month we just started off and we did Damodar Astakam as well. But I'm going to next time, for next week, I'm going to have Yashoda and Damodar picture, over here, so we can do the Aarti in front of Damodar, and we make it another wonderful session and speaking more about Damodar month, and and then I can dive into the Leela as well. Thank you so much for your association. I am really humbly very grateful for giving your association. And it's so nice in this month of Kartik that we could spend time like this. And I didn't expect the very first day of Damodar month last week. Suddenly it happened that nobody was there, and 4:30 they just asked me, can you sing Damodar Astakam? So on the very first day I had a opportunity or the grace of Krishna to sing Damodar Astakam in manner. So I was like so pleased and so happy. I didn't expect Prabhuji, and suddenly they said, Sham, can you sing Damodar Astakam?
No, Krishna's reciprocating with you.
That's really nice.
I was suddenly came as a surprise. I said definitely. Prabhu. Immediately I got in and started singing in front of Damodar. So the Damodar month starting, it went with on a beautiful note. So I'm really so pleased.
Very nice
about that. And yesterday I met Prabhuji as well in Soho Temple. I'm going to continue doing that every Wednesday for this month. Yeah, thank you so much for your association. It just so happened a friend of mine come from India, and I'm going to go to the station to pick him up. So
go ahead, take care of your friend. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you so much. And
thank you.
Thank you for your association. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Three loud Hari Bols to Shyam Prabhuji.
Everybody please.
Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
All glory to your service, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.